Are you giving yourself away? In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to avoid this very common relationship mistake. Hi everybody, I'm Gabrielle Usatinsky. I'm a mental health professional, relationship expert, and author of the Power Couple Formula. For my whole career, I've seen partners make this particular mistake. What you're going to learn here may surprise you because our culture teaches that this mistake actually leads to healthy relationships when it really doesn't. If you like this video, make sure to smash the subscribe button right now. Just hit the subscribe button right here. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and share it. And please go to thepowercoupleformula.com for lots more useful information about building an amazing relationship. All right, do you feel like you're giving too much and not getting enough back in return? Do you wonder about toxic relationships and whether you're in one? How much should you sacrifice to be with someone? Ultimately, relationships need to be based on fairness. Dr. John Gottman, one of the foremost marital researchers, says that relationships have what he calls a fairness meter, where both partners are aware of how fair the relationship feels to them. Relationships that survive are those where both people report that the relationship feels fair. Too much unfairness leads to the end of your relationship. So, what is unfairness? Well, unfairness is another word for injustice. It means that one of you is taking more than their fair share. This could be in many different areas of life. It could be about how you spend money with no concern for a budget when you expect your partner to be on top of the budget all the time. It could be that you insist that your partner not interrupt you, but it could be you insisting that you make all the decisions about your kids without soliciting any input from your partner. You may be wondering if there are certain personality types that are more likely to create an unfair relationship. The answer is yes. Unfairness is rooted in insecure attachment. If you've been following these videos, you know that there are a number of insecure attachment styles. A hallmark of insecurely attached people is that they come from families that are inherently unfair, where they learn that one person wins, the other person loses, and they don't see parents who take into consideration the needs of other people in the family. Nobody's going to get everything they want in a relationship all of the time, but it's important to be clear about what it is that you're willing to give up and what it is that you're not willing to give up. So if you're watching this video, you might be having a feeling like, something does feel unfair in my relationship, but you're wondering, how do I know if I'm giving up too much? You may feel that you're settling or selling out on your core values or compromising, but in some kind of self-destructive way. It's very common for one person in the relationship to feel like the relationship is imbalanced, like they're giving too much. In fact, sometimes both people feel that way. Another one I hear is that you feel like you're putting in all the effort to make the relationship work and your partner isn't efforting at all. When I'm talking about unfairness, I'm not talking about one person doing the dishes 51% of the time and the other person 49%. There are some very big deals in relationship, areas where if you feel like you're giving those things up, your relationship is doomed to fail. Those are the big ticket items, and we call those deal breakers. Those are fundamental issues about your lifestyle choices that really cut to the core of what's important to you. Things that you and your partner may have very different ideas about. This could be things like any of the following. One of you wants kids and the other one doesn't. Or one of you wants to raise your children according to the Christian faith and the other according to the Muslim faith. Or one of you wants to have an open relationship and the other one wants to be monogamous. It could also be things like where you live. One of you wants to live in Seattle and the other one wants to live in Beirut. It could also be things like substance abuse issues or having wildly different sexual libidos. It could be things like finding out that your partner's been keeping secrets from you or differences in the way you handle money. And there's another kind of deal breaker, and that is, do you want the same kind of relationship? Should your relationship be fair? Should it be based on equality? Should both of your needs matter equally? Should both of your desires be equally considered in every decision that you make? If you and your partner fundamentally disagree about these issues, that in and of itself should be a deal breaker because one of you wants fairness and the other one doesn't. If you're dealing with any of these types of issues, be aware that you and your partner must hash these things out and take it all the way until you come to a resolution about whether you can make this work or not. With deal breakers, you can't leave any stone unturned. You can't make any plans about your future or whether you're going to even be able to create a life together until you've resolved them. If you don't deal with your deal breakers, they will come back to bite you in the butt. It's only a matter of time. Even if you've dealt with all of your deal breakers and you've come to the point of realizing that you can make your relationship work, it's still critical that you not give yourself away in your relationship. People get very confused about the word sacrifice. In fact, a lot of people think that you should sacrifice in relationship. You can see a lot of comments on YouTube about how people have sacrificed everything for their relationship and they believe that's the secret to happiness. And a whole other school of people who say, no, absolutely not. You shouldn't sacrifice anything important to you just to be in a relationship. So what is sacrifice and who's right? Sacrifice is admittedly a very confusing subject. Then there's the whole codependency argument about how if you sacrifice too much, that must mean you're codependent. So let's get clear about sacrifice in relationships. If you look in the dictionary for a definition of sacrifice, you see that the word has two very different meanings. Sacrifice, definition number 1, something given up or lost. Definition number 2, destruction or surrender of something for the sake of something else. If you think about those two meanings, it's clear that they mean very, very different things, and yet it's the same word. No wonder there's so much confusion about sacrifice. The fact of the matter is that the only kind of sacrifice that really works is definition number 2, destruction or surrender of something for the sake of something else. Remember, ultimately, for relationships to work, they must be based on fairness. So if you're going to give up something that is important to you, it only works if it's for the sake of something else. If you're getting something else back in return that makes it worthwhile. Because it wouldn't make any sense for someone to be in a relationship where they're surrendering or destroying things that are important to them if there's nothing in it for them. It's often repeated that in order to make relationships work, both partners must be willing to make sacrifices. Sacrifices in terms of doing what one person wants to do, whether that means where to go out to eat or where to send your kids to school, or whether your family should visit at Thanksgiving. But as I say, overall, if you're going to have to give up something that's important to you, there needs to be some kind of payback for that. A lot of people think of bargaining as a form of manipulation that has no place in intimate relationships. But that's actually not true. Bargaining is a very necessary skill to have in an intimate relationship. For instance, if the dishes are piling up and it's actually my turn to do the dishes, I might say to my husband, honey, who wants a head rub tonight? And trade a head rub for him taking my turn at the dishes. And after a hard day's work, he thinks he's getting the bargain of the century, and I get to do this other thing that I wanted to do instead of the dishes. Voila, no resentment built. A big mistake that people make is that they give and give and give, and they don't expect anything back in return. And they don't even realize they're doing it until they start to feel so resentful that they shut down and they don't even want to relate anymore. Their relationship isn't fair, it is out of balance. One person's putting a lot of energy into the relationship and wants to work on it, and the other person really doesn't. They don't know where they're going, and they don't have a clue how they even got here. They just know something's wrong. Why do we end up in relationships where we give ourselves away like that? Well, according to family systems thinker Ivan Bezormany-Nagy, when we grow up in unfair families, we tend to try to settle the score unconsciously with our spouses. When we grow up in a family where we were unfairly treated, it's very likely that we're going to do that to our spouse as well. You might have been taken advantage of when you were growing up. You might have been used to as a confidant by a parent, or being expected to take care of the feelings of people in your family. And then when you grow up, that's just what you're used to. You're used to giving everything and getting nothing back in return. So the bottom line is, how do you know if you're in a relationship where you're giving yourself away? It's important that you talk with your partner about your relationship, bring it up, and see if they're open to talking about making the relationship fair. If they are, you have a good chance of being able to use the second definition of sacrifice, which is giving something up in exchange for something else. You have a chance of creating a relationship where both people are willing to accommodate the other person at times because they know in the long run they get something out of it that they wouldn't have gotten if they weren't together. On the other hand, if you bring this up with your partner and you're getting the cold shoulder and they express no interest in making the relationship a fair place, or they think it already is fair when you don't, then it's clear that you're sliding toward the first definition of sacrifice, which is giving something up without getting anything back in return. That's giving yourself away, and it's a deal breaker. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and leave me your comments below and let me know the following. Where do you fall out in relation to these two definitions of sacrifice? Do you tend to lean more toward the first one, where you feel like you're giving something up or losing something without getting anything back in return? Or do you tend to do more of the second one, where you're willing to surrender something for the sake of getting something back that's meaningful to you? Leave me your comments below and let me know, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.